Happy Father's Day to all the fathers joining us. I hope you're having or had a great day. And if you're not a father, I hope you had a great day anyway. Did you get on the water? Did you sail this week? What is going on in your life? Say hi in the chat. I'm on Maui. Short trip to Maui. We were planning to go back to Europe a few weeks ago, but then we had some issues with my wife's immigration stuff in the US where she has an emergency thing where she's got to get back to Europe, but it's difficult to get that permission while you're in the process in the States, which is kind of annoying. But anyway, we're back on Maui, and hey, Jorg. And I sailed yesterday. It was super windy, 4-2, chest high waves at Hokipa. Had a few jumps, a couple push loops and forwards, and some wave rides. Super windy. It's not normally that windy on Maui, but I had fun. It was nice to be on the water. I had a little break for about a month of no sailing, and in that break, what have I been doing? I've been skateboarding. So we haven't been on Maui, and I've been traveling around a bit with my family, and I got a surf skate, and it's the model of surf skate that's closest to a normal skateboard. So the trucks are not so crazy. It's different than a normal skateboard truck, but it's I'll have to show it one of these times. So it moves a bit, but it's not so wild like a lot of the other surf skates. And I've been learning how to do that, trying to figure out how to get some surfy lines on the skateboard in the park. And did I notice any benefit on the water from that? No, I don't think so. But one thing that I think it will help me with is I've been doing a little bit of switch riding on the skateboard, and I think that will help my Portac surfing. But anyway, we'll see. Axel, Mario, nice. Axel had a good session. Like to see it. Steen. Yeah, Mario's also doing the surf skate program. Sounds good. Nice. Hey, John. By the way, there are a couple more spots open for the clinics in Denmark, the windsurfing master classes. So there's 2 of them. Because there was so much demand, I mean, I could have easily sold out just 1 week and been done with it. That would have been sold out in 24 hours. But I hate turning people away, so I opened it up to 2 weeks, which then opens up a lot more space. And so there's a couple more spots kind of in each week, how we've set up the people. So if you're interested in that, the link is in the comment of this post. So it's in the Facebook or on the YouTube. It's in the comment. Hey, Rasmus, Greg, Dennis. Nice, Dennis. This is cool to read. It's out with his son. Nice. That sounds like a nice Father's Day windsurfing time. Nice. All right, we've got some. Oh, we got a lot of people that just showed up in the chat. Hey, Bart. Bart had some good clips, good sailing. Posted some clips in the group. I saw that. Looks good, Bart. Hans, hi, Hans. Yeah, some weeks you can't get on the water, but we hope that then that drives you. I think it's not bad to have breaks. It's one of these paradoxes in getting better, that the more time on the water, the faster you improve, but also you need to have breaks to help break the bad habits. And then when you come back, you're fresh and your mind's been working on it. So having breaks is definitely not bad for learning, as long as you also have the dedicated time. It can't all be breaks. If you just have all breaks, that doesn't work. All right, let's jump into the coaching. Oh, let's make it a bit bigger. How's that? Is that too big? Let's do it like this. I think that works. All right, so let's see what's in the Facebook group. So we've got this. You can post anonymously. So if you want to do a post, but you're kind of shy to have your name on it, You can do an anonymous post. I don't really know how that works. But there's a way to do it. So we can go tell the group. Now you can create anonymous posts. Yeah, so here, let's share that. So just in case you want to post anonymously, you can do it. Okay. All right, let's jump into the coaching. All right, first up, here's a post from Bart. My wave riding is starting to improve thanks to this group. I can see my hands can be wider and move more on the cutback. I'm trying to lean into the bottom turns more. Should I lower the boom a touch? Any other tips on technique I seem blissfully unaware of? All right, so Bart, before we get into the footage, tell us, how high is your boom on your body? Is it on your nipples? Is it on your shoulders? Is it on your belly button? Is it on your nose? All right, let us know where it is, and then let's load up some of these videos. All right, that's the highest quality we're gonna get. Make sure our sound is on. I like this angle, Bart. I like that you're looking down the line. Yeah, that's a little high five. I really like these whitewater turns. Riding the whitewater is a really good exercise, and it's something I recommend everyone to do. Why is it good? One is it teaches you how to get your board placement, and you don't have to worry about timing. So unlike when you're riding a wave that's breaking and you have to figure out where your timing is or how your timing is, when your timing is, with the whitewater is just there. So you don't have to think about the timing. And you can work on placing your board, and it's great also for practicing going vertical. I really like this little moment, Bart, because I can see that you pick up the speed from the wave. And so what did that feel like? What did that feel like hitting this? Because I can really see that you're accelerating, you're getting that high five, you're picking up the speed from the wave, you're coming out of that turn a little bit faster than you went into it, which is what we want to see. Oh, nice. This looks like a huge improvement from the last video that you posted in the group. This is great to see. I love this little turn as well. Now I can't really see what your body, hey Thomas, I can't really see what your body's doing because it's hidden behind the sail. But I do see that the board is turning quite dynamically. It's in this little pocket of the wave. You've got good timing here on this section. I like it. Little backside turn. I don't have much comment on this wave except good work. I think you've really applied a lot of the principles that we've been talking about in the group. You know, if I was able to see your body, I think there's maybe some little techniques that we could work on, and then otherwise, you know, big picture is this wave. You're milking this wave, but there's maybe better waves out there for the day. I'm not sure, but I can just see that this wave is breaking in the whitewater. So I'm guessing that there were waves that were bigger that came in before it that might be better for you to ride. So that would be your next step. So if you wanted to look at improving, you know, I think your technique is looking really good. Your timing, your placement, all of that stuff is looking really solid. You're keeping your speed. So then the next step would be getting the waves that are a little bit bigger, which then offer you more potential. It's a bigger canvas. And that would be, I think the next step. The only other thing I would add, but again, I don't want to take away from how stoked I am to see this, because I really see a lot that's come together in this footage. But the only other thing I would add, and again, not taking away, because I think you've done a great job, is that this looks like a section that you could hit. Now, whitewater waves are difficult because so what I mean by that is like waves that are forming and breaking then in water that has the whitewater in it from a previous wave. It's difficult to see the wave and to read it, to get the timing right, just the way that the light reflects off the whitewater. And two, they tend to be a little bit bumpier. And 3, because the water is a little bit aerated, it's easier to spin out with your fins. So that's one reason to kind of avoid whitewater waves. But that looks like a section that you could maybe hit. But in general, Bart, I think that this is a great clip. I can really see the progress. Let's move on to the next one. All right, now here we can see your body. Looking around, I like that. Little sit-up turn, getting some speed. Nice flow. Wide grip. The wave kind of dies there, which doesn't let you get back into it. So one thing that I would say here about the technique is I think that there's a lot that's good here. What I would add is getting a little bit more lean over the center line of the board. And so you can really push that sail away from you. And then rather than having your body sort of facing the nose of the board, get those hips angled so that they're facing your toes. So your lower body, everything is facing your toes. And then you can lean in with your upper body into the gap that's here, like right where my mouse is. And you're just leaning there, kind of keep the sail in the same place, kind of just push the sail away from you and just lean into the gap, and that will get the board even more on the rail. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. But I like, there's something dynamic here that's going on that is good, that I like, where I can see that you're pushing, and then you're bringing the sail. You're getting a little bit of that S with the front hand, like we talk about, which then winds you up for that cutback. So solid, solid, solid. I think the biggest thing on the bottom turns, as sort of the only thing I want you to think about is, so like right now, if you look at this, your upper body, your hips, everything. Hey, Marine, am I going to see you in Pozo? You're going to come to Pozo? I don't know when I'm going to arrive. So anyway, Bart, back to this. So your upper body, your hips, your knees, everything is pointing towards the nose of the board, even your head. I want your head to be looking where you're going to go, and I want your knees and your hips to be turned towards your toes, turned into the turn. This is a tip that I got from Nick Baker years ago, and it makes a world of difference for getting the board on the rail. And then you can just lean forward, just lean a little bit over and keep the sail in the same spot. You don't have to carry the sail with you. And then the sail can hold you up. So you can lean over, apply pressure on the rail, but the sail can still hold you up. So it's not, not like you're doing a lay down bottom turn where you have to maybe worry about how much to commit. You can really lean over because the sail will hold you up. But get those hips, get those knees, turn in the direction of the wave. So turn your butt to the beach. Turn your butt to the beach. So that's the biggest tip. So Bart, does that make sense? Because I think that will make a big difference in your wave riding. Turn your butt to the beach. So I hope it's clear what I'm saying. So like right now you've got a lot of your body pointing towards the nose of the board. You want that pointing this way, perpendicular to the board. So get your knees and your hips lined up with where your toes are pointing. And then you can just lean forward. All right, Bart, congrats on the progress. Congrats on the progress. Looks great. I can see the high fives and the flow. Your bottom turn, turning your hips and knees towards your toes, but to the beach. Okay. Next up, we've got a post from Marine from Vargas. Cool. All right, let's get into this. Woohoo! That looks nice. So those of you who have heard me talk about 360 before, there are a few key things we look at this stage. We want to see the front arm bent and close to the hip. We want to see the back arm extended with the sail open. And we want to see the body leaning into the turn. And Marine, you're hitting all of those points. You could keep the sail open a little bit longer in this. One of the most important things, though, for the 360 for landing it back inside the wave is the timing, and this kind of section that you're hitting. And this kind of section where the wave is coming at you is really difficult to land it back inside the wave. So this is a fine goose screw section, and you want to just, I mean, this looks good. I think you can just hold it just a little bit longer in this position just to get a little bit more air off the wave, and you'll just get a little bit more clearance, which then will allow you to land on your board. All right, let's watch the next one. Looking good. Looking good. I like this, Marine. This is looking, the timing on this is also pretty close. This is not bad timing. This wave isn't pushing very much in this section. And if it was a wave that was pushing more, you would have come pretty close to making this 360. The timing is right for how the wave is pushing, like that moment of the wave. But this section just doesn't have much power. You want a section that's throwing, not a crumbly section. It's hard to impossible to land them on a crumbly section. And then the only other thing is, even though it feels like that's what you need to do, you don't want to lean back like this. So you're doing a good job keeping the sail open, and you're getting this angle in the board, but you want to try to keep your body more towards the inside of the radius or the inside of the circumference of the turn, right? So if the circle of your turn is something like this, right? You want to be leaning more inside of it. Depending on the different kind of 360, you're going to be leaning inside more or less. Like, let's see if we can find some wave 360. I obviously have some on my computer, but I don't know where they are. So this is kind of a good example of one, because it's somewhat similar conditions, and it's somewhat of a messy section. This is from, and so the key difference that I want you to see, Marine, is where his body is, right? So that leaning back is something you can do if you have a lot of wind or if the wave is really throwing, but most of the times you want your body to be more upright. And what that feels like is like you're really leaning into this circle. And so even though it looks just like straight like this, it feels like you're really leaning. And then once it gets thrown around, then the wave kind of does that work, but it's never that you're really leaning back. All right, let's find another one. So this one looks super windy. So this one might have more lean in it. But look how much he's leaning into the turn going into it. So for me, this is one of the really important factors of a wave 360, is getting that lean into the circle. And you can see, even at the moment of takeoff, how upright he is. And then it kind of looks like he's leaning back, but the reason that's happening is because the wave is then throwing the board. So it never actually feels like you're really leaning back against it. But that is the instinct when you think, okay, how do I get this board around? Okay, I have to lean back to throw it around. But that's actually not how the rotation works. The more you're leaning into the turn, actually, the better it is. So let's find one more, and and then move on. I wonder if there's one of these that's similar to... All right, here's one from Steffi. So this is a little bit of a different kind, and she's really getting cranked around. But you can even see that she's still quite a bit upright, and then she kind of leans over. All right, so yeah, so Marine, you have to be picky about the waves, but also like you can try them on the other waves, but then you're just aiming for a goose screw and you're working on the rotation to land off the back. And then you really want to lean into that circle. So like you're leaning towards your toes on the inside of that circle. You should look, so you want to be looking at the lip of the wave as you're coming up to it. And then when you're coming around, yeah, your head is guiding you back to the beach. Yeah, but you're getting very close. I like to see it. All right, let's get back. All right, Greg is saying, I may get a couple days to sail around Tarifa, Malaga next week. What are some good forecast gear? Cool, so there's some good comments here. I don't know about these places. Yeah, this is a cool one. Thank you for posting this, Max. This is how I like to do backside 360s. I found one of me. It's not as good as this. This is a pretty sick one. I should post it. I have one from last summer, kind of like this. And the inspiration from me was from Dario. Dario Ojeda used to do pretty cool 360s like this. But I like these a lot. Philip is such a beast. It's so cool. You know, he's taking this maneuver, this style of maneuver that it's not new. Other people have done it, but just stomping it. He's got a lot of talent. All right, next up. All right, we've got this back loop from MFT. So Paul, if Paul is watching, this is a very similar way to how Paul back loops. And so if he has any insights on what he does to make them, that might be useful. We've got some good answers. I want to read what other people said, and then I'm going to say what I think, or should I say, I'll say what I think first. So this is looking solid. I think there's two main things. One is something technical, and the other is something conceptual. So on the technical side, I think you could take off a little bit more upwind, which would then help your rotation. It's hard for me to tell what the angles of everything are, but I think you could take off a little bit more upwind. And second, when you think about the back loop, you want to think about it, in this example, going left, not about going backwards. So rather than like falling back, what you're doing is you're just steering to your left and then coming down nose first. So then at the top of the jump, rather than leaning back to pull it around, you're leaning to your left to push it through the wind and then sailing down, so that then the board comes down nose first, right? So you want to get the nose pointing down and then looking with your head, rather than pulling it with your body by leaning back and then the board is flat or tail first. Does that make sense? So it's I think a pretty important concept for the back loop. You know, with all these moves, I think there are a lot of misconceptions, and then getting the right conceptual understanding of it can be the difference between doing it or not doing it, more than any technique. And so for the forward loop, I think that it's understanding that it's a 360, a downwind 360. And so when you're looking back, you're actually looking in the direction that you're rotating. It's not that you're looking the other way, you're traveling forward, going back, looking back. It's actually, that's the direction you're looking, and you're doing a spin and you're looking where you're going. The back loop, you're not going back, you're actually more going sideways. And so in this example with wind from the left, you want to think about going up, keeping tight with the gear, and then steering to the left, not steering behind you, just steering to the left and getting the nose pointing down. So you're sailing down. And so when I'm at the top of the jump, I'm not leaning back like this. I'm then pushing everything, the front of my gear down as I'm steering through the eye of the wind to the left to then point the nose towards the water from the top of the jump. All right, so what do other people say? Pretty good try, head. The ramp doesn't look the easiest. Yeah, but this is a fine ramp. It's not the easiest, but you're getting good height. You can back loop off this ramp. Getting the head earlier. I think the concept of trying to go left rather than go back will make a huge difference. We've got star Alex Mussolini chipping in. He says, the problem is how you position the board. Once you have reached the highest point of the jump, you need to aim the nose of the board towards the water. Yeah, exactly. You have to imagine yourself making a very vertical jump, the gear as close as possible to the body. Once you reach the top of the jump, same position as you started the jump, lean the body so the nose of the board looks for the water. Once the board has touched the water, that's the moment you open the clue of the sail. Hope this helps. Might be able to take off more upwind. Hunt, yeah, the back loop might have been originally called an aerial 360. There were so many different names in the beginning. But the biggest thing I see is conceptual. Don't think of the back loop as a rotation going backwards. Think of it as going left. Get to the top. Steer to your left and down, not backwards. You want to steer through the wind almost horizontally and get the nose of the board pointing to the water. All right. Thomas is saying straight on against the wave in onshore conditions. I agree with that. So does that mean he could go more upwind? Maybe. Maybe a little bit. Like one strategy, if you see this ramp, and it looks like you're doing this a little bit, MFT, is to go a little bit more downwind and then harder upwind to then get to the ramp and then take off more upwind, and then you get a little bit more speed as well. Okay, Dennis, I was putting together some older stuff when I stumbled on this, the cover and the push-up sequence from October and the tweaked aerial from 2005, all published in Wind. Yeah, so Dennis, I'm happy to talk about this stuff. This, I think, was my first cover. I think this was my first cover. I was 14, and I really wanted to invent a move. So I'd been windsurfing now for a few years and I was obviously very into it. And I really wanted to invent a move, and no one had done the no-hand push loop before. So I set about learning how to do it. And this is one of my first ones. I'll hunt around and see if I've got some other sequences. Because then eventually at one point I was doing them like fully no hands through the whole rotation. This one I start to grab it here. I don't do them that much anymore. They're pretty scary, and I had some pretty hard crashes doing them. And what's funny is a lot of times when moves get invented, then other people start doing them. I've never seen someone else do a no-hand push loop like this, so I don't know why that is. But if someone has done them, let me know. But I think since I invented it, I'm the only one to do them. They're kind of scary. They're kind of terrifying. And when I was 14, 15, 16, and I didn't really care so much, I would just huck myself into these. But now that I don't want to hurt myself, yeah, I have more apprehension to doing them. I mean, that goes for a lot of moves too. Like I used to go for double back loops, and I came pretty close to some, like push loop into back loop. But again, the crashes on those are so hard. Yeah, here's a tweaked air. I love doing tweaked airs. This board, this is a crazy board. This is something that Richard Green shaped for me, and I had a series of boards like this. And the idea was to go back to the can opener boards from the 80s, where you have then the long straight bottom turn rail for hard committed bottom turns, and then a curvier, shorter cutback rail for snappy, carvy cutbacks. And it's got like just one little side fin there to help the hold on the cutbacks for the carving. And we decided to go with the asymmetric nose because why not? And these boards actually worked really well. I've got some more pictures of them. I can pull them out. And I'm still on asymmetric boards today on Maui. I'm riding Taboo, and Fabian Vollenweider is the shaper for Taboo. And he, yeah, is stoked to make me asymmetric boards. I just got an asymmetric board for Europe as well, not for the Canaries, whatever, but it's a Portec version of my Hokipa boards, and I will take that to Denmark because I think it could be a good board to ride in Handsome and anywhere that's down the line, Portec. Yeah, so I mean, these boards were super funky, fun, and yeah, I'm really happy that Richard Green at the time was willing to experiment. These boards are even crazier than they look from the bottom here, because the decks of these boards. So if this is the bottom of the board, the decks, you'd come up to the rail, and then it would go in and then out again to get these like super thin, razor thin rails, and then a really flat deck. These are wild boards. My dad is the one that came up with all these concepts. He was also one of the ones that came up with Craig Masonville with some of the first can opener boards way back. And you know, he came up with these concepts, the rail, that crazy rail. I've got to see if I can find some pictures of this. I don't know if I have, but you know, I must have one of these boards somewhere. So I've got to go dig it out. All right, next up, this is a clip from Ragnar that we talked about last week. We've got some good comments from Tavi and Billy Short. Yeah, cool. I like seeing you guys chipping in. So Tavi says, with onshore, start your wave ride from the top of the wave. This would give you more speed and power. And once you have the speed, just open the sail and lean into the turn. Yeah, I like this. It's not as complicated as it's often made out to be. A lot of times you're just pushing the sail away from you and just leaning forward, like towards your toes. With the pyramid, the board in the first clip, you ought to be careful. It turns too easy, meaning it's super easy to make a too rapid turn that kills your speed. Be gentle. Here are a few examples of how to position yourself on the top of the wave. Any power you get from the wave is way better than the power you get from the sail. In wave riding, you don't want your sail to be too loaded with power. Yeah, I think all that makes sense. Billy says, the difference between onshore wind and cross offshore is the change in apparent wind in your sail. In onshore conditions, you lose power as you bear away down the wave because you start to head downwind, and so it's absolutely key to use every trick in the book to keep speed. I agree with that. It's that speed which allows you to sheet in for the first part of the turn. That means being well powered up, pumping the sail as you go into the bottom turn, and starting from high on the wave to maximize the drive you get from the wave's power and slope. If you head upwind along the wave at first, Then you start with good speed and you can wait for the right section to bottom turn into. When that comes, bend the knees, lean forwards, and carve down the face of the wave, sheeting in with good load on your backhand to engage the rail and to tighten the turn. And you end up in front of the wave, then you've got it wrong. Assuming you stay higher on the wave, the amount of speed you have determines how long you stay sheeted in before needing to go clue first. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. So I did this post. This is now a little bit over a week ago. What's your windsurfing goal for the summer? So if you haven't answered, I want you to answer it. We've got 116 comments. What is your windsurfing goal? Put it here. And then follow up. What's your plan? What is your strategy for attaining your goal? And share it. Make it public. Oh, we're getting some spam in the comments. Ooh, how do I get rid of the spam? Block user. All right. Facebook user sailed in pistol. So, for example, Jory wants more power in the wave riding, upwind 360 on the wave. Maybe a Taka. Yeah, cool. These are great skills. So what's your plan? Flock on flat water, right on. Right on. Flocka is a hard move to learn. What's your plan for your other goals this summer? So I think it's really important to have a plan, and it helps you have more fun, which is one of the bigger takeaways, I think, for most people, is that when you have a plan and a goal and you're working towards it, then even the shitty sessions, even the days where the conditions are not good, are really fun. So I really recommend coming up with a goal, coming up with a plan. I think, yeah, I think that it really helps. It's really fun. If you want to join one of my master classes, we've got 2 this summer in Denmark in September. The link is in the description of this post, whether you're on Facebook or in YouTube. You can apply. There are not many spots left, but there are a couple spots because we opened it up. We're doing 2 weeks instead of 1, which makes a lot more spaces overall. And yeah, it's something I'm really looking forward to. What else? I think that's it in terms of the coaching. No, maybe not. Maybe we have another post. I think I read this wrong. We've got. All right, no, there are a few more things. Hold on, let's get back to the group. All right, so here's a post from Olaf. I don't think we went through this last week. First wave sailing session since he snapped his Achilles, underpowered on a 5.9 and 95, but it was a few small waves to practice onshore, very small waves, tricky to build up speed in order to cut back. Notice on the photo, I was leaning too much on the boom for the cutback and lost all the power in the sail. So I lost my speed and the rail just dug in. Nevertheless, it was a fun session. Hey, Tomas. All right. We are getting spammed out on YouTube. Anyway, so Olaf, what I would like to see is, like we've talked about with the other people, is instead of pointing your knees and your chest and everything towards the nose of the board, try and get those pointed towards your toes. And that will really help you engage that bottom turn rail. And even if it's just a little bit of engagement, you don't need to be leaning that much. It will make a big difference because you'll have more rail in the water and more forward rail in the water, which will help you carry your speed. So you talk about having difficulty keeping your speed. Like this, you're putting a lot of weight on your back foot and it's sinking the tail, and it makes it really difficult to keep speed. So doing that one simple thing of just turning your butt to the beach, getting your knees and your hips pointed towards your toes will really help you carry more speed. So that's huge, and working on that will make a big difference. And the cutback, it's difficult. These waves aren't really offering very much to push back against, but I think you really want to hang from the boom. You don't want to pull yourself up into the boom. Really hang from it, and that will help transfer what energy is there into the rail of the board and carve it back around rather than kind of stopping. Because if you're pulling on the sail and you're pulling yourself up, then it stops the board from carving. Yeah. So hopefully that makes sense. I think the biggest thing is leaning into the turn by getting your knees. So work on getting your knees and hips pointing into the turn. Point them at your toes rather than at the nose of the board, but to the beach. All right. Paul, hey guys, Saturday was a major moving day for me on forwards. I finally got conditions that let me focus on applying the technique I've been working on and landed and sailed away from 3 forwards on port tack. Right on. This is huge. Cool. It was powered up on a 4/8, 3-4 foot waves, just getting clean in the air, taking off wind, sheet out, rig up, forward, and then look back and tuck the back leg. Worked a treat, and the rotation felt awesome as I was up in the air. So, this is great. Then I went out last night to my home spot and got my ass handed to me on a plate. Oh no, it was wave swell, port tack. I guess you mean wind swell, port tack, and I find it hard to bear off when I take off a bit of swell and then rotate as we have to head up into the wind to get air. Went for 3, but they were a mess. MFT, I saw your video from Rossing there. Looked like you were headed upwind before you go into the forward, essentially a stalled forward, but then a massive whip around. Anyone got any tips on how I can nail my forwards on wind swell? I don't want to lose the good technique I've been working so hard on. Do I need to focus on stalled forwards? So, Paul, I think that it's important to build your way up, work your way up. And so if you're not, like, get comfortable in these conditions where you're nailing them before you start pushing yourself in the other conditions. But one of the most important things when you're going into sort of wind swelly conditions is if you're taking off more upwind, which is a super valid technique, but it's not what I recommend when you're just learning. You want to really make sure that you're getting the sail across your body, so it's like cocked into the wind. So on the windward side of your board's rail, right? So when you're going up, you can kind of sheet out and get the sail across, and then you're sheeting in and going over. So if the wind is coming this way, you're really getting the sail, sort of sheeting it out as you're coming up into the air, moving it into the wind, and then pulling in and coming around. And that's what controls the rotation, keeps it horizontal, so that then you're not going endo, even though you're taking up more upwind. And you can train that in these other conditions that you feel comfortable in. And you want to train that in the conditions you feel comfortable, and then take it into different conditions that you might be less comfortable. All right, now we're caught up. That's it. That's all. You guys did great. I hope that you're having a wonderful Father's Day. There's 2 things I want to say before I sign off. One of them is, again, there's that application for the master classes in Denmark. 2 is, I really enjoy doing this coaching, and I think it's a really good format. And I really like sharing my knowledge that I've acquired over the last however many decades of being a pro windsurfer. I guess it's not that many decades, like less than 2. But anyway, what I'm less good at teaching or less interested in teaching is more of the beginner intermediate skills. But there is a lot of demand for those skills. People want to learn things like how to jibe for the first time. And I'm less, for whatever reason, I'm less motivated to teach that. Not because it isn't important, it is, but I just feel like I have less of there's less that I have that's special to share. Um, but I get a lot of people writing me that they want instruction for jibing or some of these more beginner intermediate skills. And so I was thinking, we've got this great format with the group, with this sort of virtual coaching. I wonder if it's an area where the community can help the community, because a lot of you guys are working on more advanced skills. And if you have some really good tips or really good technique for learning how to jibe, maybe we can help bring up some of the beginners that are with us into the intermediate level. So I'll do a post in the group, but I just wanted to share that before I do the post, because I think it'd be kind of cool to help the beginners, but not from me, because I think that's not really my place. It's not the best use of my skills or time, but using this format that we've set up, and then you guys have great experience and great skill with jibing, or whatever these basic skills are. So anyway, I just want to throw that out there. It's kind of a rough idea. I'm going to think about it a little bit more. Hey Ben, but I'm going to post it in the group, and maybe there's a way that we can help share some of that knowledge that's in the community with some of the beginners. I don't know exactly what that looks like. So I'm thinking about it. I'll do a post. We can brainstorm about it together. And with that, I'm going to sign off. I think I've got some windy days coming up on Maui, so I'm going to be getting in the water. I hope it's windy wherever you are. Post your questions, comments, concerns, photos, videos, all of the above in the Facebook group, and we'll discuss it next week. If you're not in the Facebook group and you're interested in coaching instruction, post a comment on the YouTube video, and we can find a way to make that work. Alrighty, take care everyone. Have a good week. Bye-bye. And Facebook user, yes, share the video. That sounds cool. All right, take care.